Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we have the official 4.0 update details posted on Mobirum with some specific details missing. But I do want to cover my initial thoughts on this almost a week before the update drop. Now, I want you guys to know a couple of things. First of all, yes, these patch notes are largely the same as the ones that we saw accidentally leaked on the Taiwanese forum, but some information has since been changed and some information has since been removed, which is potentially a really good sign. Secondly, this is very unlike Netmarble. They usually only release the patch notes the day before the update, or even the night before the update, which gives content creators like myself, but also the community at large, very little time to understand the patch notes before. Now, I don't know if they released these ones early because they're so complicated and there's so many new kind of things to process, or for other reasons, but I have to say I really prefer this. I like when the game gives the players about a week, maybe 3 or 4 days minimum, to prepare for things in the game, and it's kind of a heads up. It's a nice thing. Of course, we have to show a level of understanding that things might change, final numbers may be tweaked slightly, but to have a general idea of what the developer is planning to do really allows the community to get on board with the things that are going to happen, to digest the changes, and to cope with and comes to terms with something that they might see as negative. If you give people very little time to react to something negative, their reaction is usually going to be worse. Whereas if you give someone enough time after they've reacted to something negatively, they can come around to it again and look at it with a clearer and calmer attitude. It's almost like when you're in an argument. You don't want to push to the conclusion of the argument in a very short period of time. People are more likely to come to snap judgments and make potentially the wrong decision. So anyways, that aside, let's see what we're getting. So we're getting 10 new uniforms, as we know. Captain America, Black Widow, looking very spicy. Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Spider-Man with the Iron Spider, Thor, and we should have an eye missing, but okay, Teenage Groot, Thanos with no helmet, Corvus, and his wife Proxima. Missing from all of these uniforms is their effects. Now, this is a really important factor because from the previous patch notes that we had discussed, some of the uniform effects were pretty disappointing. I don't know exactly what they were, but I can tell you from memory that Captain America's uniform upgrade seemed pretty bad. So did Black Widow's. Bucky had no uniform effect, and he really deserves a good uniform because he's had 2 bad ones, and he's basically like a D list or an F list character. He's at the lowest possible tier of character. And he's basically just a leadership and nothing else. So he really needs a massive overhaul with this Infinity War uniform. Iron Man's, on the other hand, looked amazing. Spider-Man's looked okay, but it's all about the skills with Spider-Man, so if it can't overtake Homecoming, it's just not going to happen. Thor's looked the same as all his other uniforms, 15% damage reduction, which is fine. Groot's looked pretty good. Thanos's looked quite good, actually. And then, to be honest, Proxima and Corvus's kind of looked lame. They didn't really change enough, and of course the skill effects are more important than the actual uniform effects, but I expected something a little bit more powerful. So hopefully the fact that they've removed these effects means that they are listening to the community's feedback, maybe they're watching this video, and they're tweaking the final numbers to make them a little bit more satisfactory. I don't want all of these uniforms to be overpowered just because it's Infinity War, don't get me wrong, but I think that they need to focus on buffing the weakest characters. So, believe it or not, I think that Bucky should have the most powerful uniform out of this entire list. Likewise, I think that Proxima and Corvus deserve to have a bigger bump than, say, Thor or Spider-Man, because Thor and Spider-Man are already on the fringes of the meta, but Corvus and Proxima have basically been forgotten. And of course, all Thanos really needs to do is keep up with his Secret Wars uniform. So as long as the new one is as good as that one, people should be happy, but it might be better. As far as the costs, you can see them here. They are a bit expensive, yes, but the cost is higher because you're adding them all up. Chances are we're not going to need to purchase all of these uniforms, and what you should basically do is set your sights on 1 or 2 or 3 that you really want to get, and then wait until we've had a chance to test them out, see which ones are actually worth it, and then if the 3 that you like are also 3 that are worth it, go ahead. If not, you can realign your purchases. But don't fret. You know, people are throwing around, I need 10,000 crystals for this update. Since when have you purchased every single uniform from an update? We've had updates before with multiple uniforms, and I don't remember anyone fretting when, for example, in Thor Ragnarok, we had 4 different uniforms, or we had a bunch of different uniforms, and it was roughly, you know, 3 to 5,000 crystals, and people were not losing their minds then. Of course, this is double that, but it is Infinity War. It's not going to happen again, guys, except for part 2. So we kind of have to take that with a bit of understanding. The revamp to World Boss. This is where I want to spend the most amount of time, because this is the game mode that I'm simultaneously the most excited about and the most worried about. So I wanted to take a little bit of time. What they're essentially doing is they're fusing the game mode into one. So instead of having one page for World Boss and one page for World Boss Ultimate, and World Boss splitting off into beginner and regular mode, they're going to take the idea of beginner or regular mode where the entries are shared, and they're just going to fuse World Boss Ultimate into that mode. So I think the first page is less, or the first picture is less explanatory. I think the second picture explains things much more clearly. World Boss is going to just consist of 3 different types of difficulties: beginner, normal, and then ultimate. And then within ultimate, you can rack up the difficulty with that plus sign to make it super hard. And there's going to be more than 5 levels this time around, so you can expect some really insane boss fights, probably over 10 million HP, really banana stuff to test us and push us to our limits, even with tier 3, which I'm excited about. And I'm also excited to see that we're going to be able to get better and newer materials from this, including the purple dust box and the purple coffin and the white coffin, or Thanos' lunchbox, because it's going to make this game mode more important and more relevant. Additionally, the fact that we only have one World Boss Ultimate to do right now, as of this update when it lands, Proxima Midnight, means that they are making, hopefully, substantial changes to the actual fight. Changing the mechanics of the fight, changing what the boss does, the kind of enemy AI. That is very promising, because I think World Boss has the opportunity to be one of the most entertaining game modes, with a very challenging boss fight where you have to learn the mechanics and kind of time your attacks and learn the rhythm. You know, it's a much different fight, World Boss. When it's challenging, it's much more different than something like Extreme Alliance Battle, where you're just imposing your will on the Frost Beast for 3 minutes straight. With an undergeared character, or back in the day, World Boss was kind of like a dance. You had to learn the pattern of attacks, you had to learn when to be on the defensive, when to iframe, when to attack, and it was this kind of really nice back and forth. Kind of like a Dark Souls-esque kind of fight. So if they can bring back and recapture that magic, this game mode is going to be fantastic. The thing that I worry about is the entry shared. The fact that we are sharing entries between normal mode and ultimate mode mean that we can't choose to do both every day. Right now we can do 5 normal and 5 ultimate. And the fact that we're not going to be able to do that is kind of a bummer. As much as I don't like repeating certain World Boss Ultimate days because they're a bit boring, like Supergiant or Ebony Maw, I like the amount of content that we have right now. And frankly, I've been one of the most vocal people in the community saying I want more content. And this seems like less content. So color me confused. And it'll basically end up boiling down to people obviously playing Ultimate if they can, because it's going to give the best rewards and it's going to give the most tier 3 materials. But I would like to see more of that. So if they could possibly bump it up to 10 per day, that would be great. They could obviously always put a cap on the number of tier 3 materials you can get if they want to bottleneck that, you know, the acquisition of those resources. That's fine. You can just give away the other resources like Black Antimatter, Chaos Norn Stones, and Thanos Lunchboxes. That's totally great. But please let us play it 10 times per day. It might get boring in the beginning because I only have, you know, World Boss Ultimate Proxima, but once I have all 6 to choose from, or if you bring in World Boss Ultimate Cable, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and Apocalypse in the future, it's going to be really fun, especially if it scales up to like 10 different difficulties or 20 or 50 or who knows. It might be a wild hoot. So I just wanted to express that to you guys. Obviously there's nothing I can do on my end to change this, but there's still the possibility that Netmarble could change that 5 to a 10 or to another number altogether and give us a little bit more content. So I've covered that pretty successfully. and pretty thoroughly. If you want to read more about the exact stuff, you can go and check out the patch notes in the actual link. I have it down below in the description. As far as the raid level, it's basically just a self buff that you get for the number of tier 2s you have. So new players will have a very low character bonus. Veterans will have a much higher character bonus depending on how many tier 2s you have. And then once you fight the world boss, the higher your raid level is, or the better you do, the higher your raid level will be. So you'll kind of level up as you score higher and as you do more, I guess, of those fights, as a, according to the challenge record. And then it'll get easier with time. So basically what this means is that it's very possible that the highest level, or even the mid-level highest level, like for example, let's say there are 20 stages of Ultimate. It's very possible that stage 10 of Ultimate is just too difficult for any character to do in the game right now. But if you grind out, let's say stage 3 or stage 5 or stage 6 of World Boss Ultimate, and you level up your raid level to, I don't know, stage 50, then it might give you enough stats to conquer stage 7, stage 8, stage 9, stage 10 of Ultimate. And then that effect will just snowball, and you'll slowly creep up as your raid level increases to a point where you can complete stages that you normally couldn't, despite the fact that your characters aren't actually getting stronger. They've already got max levels, CTPs, etc. We're going to have to see how high the raid level goes. If it's a very low number, this is meaningless. If it's a much higher number, this could be integral and ultimately very important to clearing high-level World Boss Ultimate and therefore getting lots of Tier 3 mats, which is basically what you want to know how to do to get more Tier 3 characters, of course. So that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. They're also introducing Valor as a new type of kind of stat or ability. It basically lowers the boss's damage or accuracy or some kind of stat, offensive stat, and it raises yours. So it basically just makes the stage easier. That's the kind of simplest way to understand it, and it sounds fine by me. And then we have new materials added for World Boss Ultimate, which are the Tier 3 materials. We'll look at them in a little bit more detail later, but they are the Dimension Dust, not Dimension Debris. No more Debris Boys, we have Dust Boys now. Titan Component Packs, Cosmic Cube Fragments, and Titan's Records. I like that they're Infinity War themed. I think that's pretty interesting. And then we have the kind of 6-step guide to Tier 3, and this is basically the quick and dirty way of understanding Tier 3s. Basically, what you have to do is you play World Boss Ultimate, you get the Tier 3 mats, you use the realized potential from fighting World Boss or fighting World Boss Ultimate to fill up the gauge. Once the gauge is filled up, you use the mats, not necessarily Tier 3 mats, but you use some kind of mats, Tier 2 mats, whatever, to upgrade your potential. Once your potential goes to level 70, once your gears are at 25, then you can use the Tier 3 mats to get your character to Tier 3 and unlock their new kind of ultimate skill. So first we have to learn what potential power is. And from the looks of it, potential power is something that you have to first fill up by fighting with the character in World Boss or World Boss Ultimate. So this is great. This is something that I asked for pretty specifically to actually have to use the character in the fight in order to develop them further. So this is fantastic to see. So essentially, if you want your potential for Captain America to go higher, you have to use him on the team for World Boss Ultimate. Now, there is a bit of a trick here. With World Boss, your character attempts get used up. So if I use Captain America in World Boss, he's gone from my list after the fight is over and I've won, and I can't use him repeatedly. However, in World Boss Ultimate, you can use the same character 5 times. You can clear all 5 times with Jean Grey or Cable. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the numbers are the same, different, or something else entirely. If they take away the repetitive format for the teams in World Boss Ultimate and they force you to win with 5 different teams, then it's going to really slow down how quickly you can build up potential for a specific Tier 3 character like Captain America. And it would also mean that you should never play World Boss with that character, because you're only going to be able to play once per day, and then the other 4 entries are going to have to be World Boss Ultimate. The other thing is it going to be shared? So if you use the character in World Boss Ultimate, are they going to get knocked out of World Boss? So we're going to have to see that. Possibly, maybe World Boss will give higher potential, which would encourage you to play with that character there instead of World Boss Ultimate. We're going to have to see exactly what the numbers are in terms of percentages, but you basically just play a lot with the character in World Boss, and then you'll be able to, once you get maximum 100% there on the bar, you'll be able to realize potential. Right now, they're going to allow potential for 11 different characters. Now, keep in mind, potential is different than tier 3. They're two different things. You can think of potential as basically gear plus Uru. That's kind of an easy way to think about it. It's not necessarily going to give you the same kind of bonuses as those things do, because I don't have the numbers, and you're not going to have to socket items in like you do for Uru, but it's kind of an expensive, complicated step to making your character more powerful. But all 10 characters that are getting uniforms plus Doctor Strange for some reason are getting the ability to realize potential, and that basically means their level cap is going to be raised to 70 and their gears will be able to go up to 25, and all of that is done first via playing with the characters in World Boss Ultimate. So at best you could rush 3 characters to level 70 if you play with those 3 characters exclusively every single day in World Boss Ultimate, and then once you're done you can move on to the next 3 characters, but you won't be able to do more than 3 at a time unless there's some sort of potential pack that you can purchase, and I hope there isn't. The potential page looks like this, and here is where you'll use tier 3 or tier 2 mats in order to roll your potential and basically push yourself up to the next stage, which would be 60 to 62 and potential level 1 to whatever, 2. And there's obviously 6 levels corresponding to different stages, like 60 to 62, 62 to 64, 64 to 65, etc. It basically just goes like that, and it's very similar to how Uru was unlocked with the raising shield level, so it's pretty similar to that. A lot of people were panicking because of the success rate and how it's RNG. It's not RNG, and I'll tell you why it's not RNG. They're giving you the opportunity, or they're giving you the choice in how many different resources you want to use. So if a new player has very few resources but they really want their character to get stronger, they can take a chance. They have the choice to, but they don't have to. They can always just be patient, farm more materials, and try again when it's a higher percentage. Additionally, when you're unsuccessful, half of your success rate will be added as a flat rate to your success. So for example, if you try at 50% success rate and you fail, your new success rate when you start with 0 materials will be 25%. So it makes it easier every time that you fail. That's not RNG, guys. That's just a way of allowing players to dictate how quickly or how slowly they progress. If you want to take the chance and try to get ahead of others, you can risk it and try your success rate at 30% or 40 or 50 or 60. Or you can go all the way up to 100 every single time and never take any risks. But this is a choice that players have, so it's definitely not RNG based. RNG based is when you don't have control and the decision to do something is taken out of your hands, like an obelisk proc. That's RNG. So hopefully you guys understand the difference between those. I'm really excited about this system. I think it looks really awesome. I think they put a lot of thought into it, and I'm going to be excited to roll some 99s and fail and make some hilarious compilations. So that's the enhancement stage and the potential. Once you get from level 60 up to level 70, in between you're also going to have to use character biometrics. This does further complicate things in a way that I wasn't expecting. I don't really like the fact that you also have to use biometrics. I don't really see the point of this. A lot of people online were also freaking out because someone somewhere did the math, and apparently it's like almost 5,000 bios to get a character from level 60 to level 70. Okay, I don't know where they got that math from, but it's not that much. To put it into perspective, you need 6,000 bios to get Thanos or Dormammu or Odin or some of the kind of tier 2 natives, the kind of the bigger boys and girls, not the kind of tier 1 native tier 2s like the Black Order and Quicksilver and stuff like that. So they cost 3,000. So between 3,000 and 6,000, we're kind of midway at 4.5 to 5,000. That's a lot of bios, don't get me wrong. But if Netmarble is releasing these tier 3s really slowly, it's going to give you the opportunity to farm up biometrics, and it also puts a higher emphasis on certain game modes like World Boss Invasion, which gives you 10 bios on average for your energy spent, which is very, very good. So I don't think this is a bad thing, and it's not RNG based, and it definitely does favor, or it does benefit more and reward veterans more. But the more you play, the more bios you're going to amass. You get a whole bunch from Shadowland weekly, and I just don't see this as big of a problem as people think. I do think it's a bit clunky, and I will admit that it doesn't really suit and fit with the rest of the upgrade cycle, and I think it was complicated enough with this without having the bios. But we'll have to see how many bios you need, because the number could be totally off, or it could end up being much less of an important thing once we see just how many more bios we can get with this update. We're really not sure what else is coming for us, so we should probably wait before we jump to any conclusions about this. And then this is talking about how you upgrade the character's gear up to 25 with the unlocking of the potential. The other thing that's a bit confusing, but is apparently confirmed here, is that there's only going to be one Tier 3 character available. So I discussed before that 11 characters are going to have their potential unlockable, which means they can go up to level 70, gear 25. While that is true, it only says Captain America's Tier 3 is available. So I would like some clarification from Netmarble, if at all possible. But if I'm reading it correctly, if I'm understanding their lingo, Captain America is going to be the only one that will be able to take that last step from level 70, gear 25, up to tier 3. And every other character on the list, Groot, Doctor Strange, etc., will not. So they will not get a 6th skill, they will not get the stat enhancements, but they will be able to go the rest of the way. So potentially there will still be a huge gap between your Doctor Strange and mine if I get to level 70 and I have gear 25 and you're at level 60, gear 20. It will be very interesting to see how much of a gap that creates, especially considering that Thanos, the Black Order, Proxima Corvus, and Doctor Strange are the only native tier 2s on that list of 11. So it's going to be great to see if a tier 3 Captain America trumps a tier 2 level 70 Doctor Strange. Because if he doesn't, it does put kind of a wrinkle, and it asks the question, why would I tier 3 Captain America if he's still weaker than a level 70 tier 2 Doctor Strange? But we're going to have to wait and see, because we know from my other videos that Captain America can hold his own against Doctor Strange right now. Here are the 4 new tier 3 upgrade materials that we have pictures for. Pretty cool. We got the Thanos coffin, we've got the dust box, got the little blue light, and then we got the Egyptian homework book. And then we have the new tier 3 ability. It's got a little kind of quick time video before the attack commences, kind of like Adam Warlock's 5th skill. So I did mention this before when we got Adam Warlock's 5th skill. I would like to see more skills where the camera angle changes, where the character does some sort of wind up before their actual effect, before the damage, before the numbers, before, you know, they start hitting the enemy. So it's cool that they're doing this, but it's not going to be a regular skill with a skill cooldown. It's going to be a new powerful active skill that's used if the gauge reaches 100%. And apparently the gauge is going to look like a birth control pill box that kind of fills up to 100%, and right now it's at 0. Presumably those yellow circles will turn into another color. Frankly, I do not like this setup. I think it looks really ugly, and it's an eyesore like this. Netmarble has always been very good about their UI. It's always looked very clean, and they've always been able to update it to look sharper and better than ever. So I hope that this is just a placeholder for something better, even if it just kind of fills up like a, you know, circular water thing. Anything is better than this yellow thing. I'm gonna get so distracted by this. I don't like it, but let me know what your thoughts are on it, and let me know how many of you with fat fingers like me are gonna accidentally press the 5th skill instead of the 6th skill, or vice versa, in the middle of a fight when there's mayhem going on. Then we have the new legendary battle. I don't want to go into too much discussion about this because we haven't seen it. All I want to say is that between the normal mode rewards and the extreme mode rewards, why? It's really not hard for us to do the math here in Netmarble. I don't have to do it for the fans. I'm pretty sure that they're smart enough now that they can figure out that the extreme mode is not worth it. I don't get it. The only thing you're really getting is a card here at the bottom, this Premium Avengers card, and the CTP of Refinement. You have to pay 2,000 crystals for that. It's actually 2,500, but you get 500 crystals back in refunds. But still, 2,000 crystals for a card and a CTP. No thanks. I I'm just confused. Like, a 6-star ISO is so bad in terms of rewards. 100 Norn Stones? You gotta do better than this. I really think they should rethink some of these rewards. They're not good. You can replace the Norn Stones with other mythic Uru. You can replace the 6-star ISOs with something better, like, I don't know, a fully awakened ISO for starters. I mean, one character needs 8 ISOs, so you're giving me 1/8 of a character's ISO weight set. Come on, for part of 2,000 crystals. Right now, it doesn't seem worth it at all, but we're going to have to wait and see just how fun it is, just how challenging it is. Who knows? And then we have new limited items. This is a Tony Stark supply chest. They posted the kind of American cost here, $2 USD. It was originally in Korean. And I think this is a great item. They're expanding the shop. They're expanding what they're willing to sell to the consumers, with the players, us, which I think is great. You get 200 crystals, which is already decent value. It's 1 to 100, as we know. And then you get a daily box, and the daily box can have one of these items. Now, of course, there's some kind of booby items or kind of lame prizes. Gold, clear tickets, energy are all pretty lame. A 5-star or a 6-star mastery ticket is also pretty lame. So there's about 5 bad rewards, but then there's 4 pretty decent rewards for $2. A 5-star or a 6-star ticket. Hello Clea, Doctor Strange Epic Quest. A 6-star Mega Rank Up ticket, which is worth 2,500 crystals. And then a 6-star Mega Mastery ticket. I wouldn't shake a stick at that. That's pretty decent. So I'm excited to see stuff like this, and I hope that they continue to do this with kind of appropriately priced sales that will give us more of what we want, that we're kind of missing, because we have a lot of gaps in the kinds of items that we're looking to buy from the store and for Marvel Future Fight and for our experience. And then we have some changes to the lobby. I really don't have anything to say about this. It looks cool, I guess. Yeah, looks nice. And then they're also changing around Uru, which is going to give people the opportunity to make their character more powerful faster if they want to. So that's cool. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact. It's only going to have an impact for people who have a powerful character that they can't tier 2, that they can't get biometrics for, like a Nova or an Ultimate or something like that. But they really want to give them Uru. It'll allow them to go a little bit further, especially now that you can amplify ahead of time. You can amplify the slots, and at least at, you know, gear 15, you'll be able to put in 3 Uru out of 5, which is not bad. It's 2 offensive ones plus an additional 1. That's like 60% of their potential right there. And that's basically it. So those are the patch notes. It's been quite a long video, guys. I thank you so much for hanging in with me for the entire time. Let me know what you think of the breakdown. Let me know what you think of the missing information and the changed information and what you're expecting to see in a week from now when the update is actually live. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. Hit the bell if you don't want to miss any of my content. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.